Recording. Thanks. I'll mention the sponsor, and then if somebody is here from them, if they would just introduce themselves. So Global Birthing Home, Maisons de Naissance. Jim, you want to introduce yourself? Thank you. So that's Jim Grant, who they operate a maternal health care in Trebek. Higgins Brothers Surgery Center. Yes, so that's Bernie and Nancy Miller from Higgins Brothers. So those are the only ones that are here today that are our gold sponsors. And then our bronze sponsors, Glory House Services. Edelbert is on Zoom. And Edelbert, you just want to tell us your name and who you're with, what you do?
Are you hear me now? Good morning.
Yeah. Edelbert, can you tell us about Glory House Services and where that serves? Well, Glory House Services, their main thing is supporting teachers. They do a lot for Northwest. They're located in the Northwest province of Haiti. And then Hope for Caribbean Kids. Yeah. So this is Mr. Meek and his. Okay. Hope for Haiti Kids has a school which is outside of Jacmel in the rural community, and an orphanage in Port-au-Prince. So I'm just going to get a plug here. This is my opportunity to plug. We now have a website that is a really good resource, and I am always looking to take input on other resources to add to it. So it has a little bit about who we are, which is just, we come together to do this. Partners is where we list a lot of you guys who attend and contribute to the symposium. So if you're not in there, let me know and I'll get you in there. We also have recommendations. So this is areas where you guys can help each other. If you know of a driver that you feel is really reliable, give that information to me, as well as hotels, anything like that, we will add to it. And then we post the presentations after the conference. And then we also have resources such as books and videos, and documentaries. So encourage you to give me feedback. More we have out there, the more we can help each other. And then we also have a YouTube, which is where I will post the recordings of the presentations and the Zoom meetings. So I'm going to take a little bit of time here because the earthquake in Haiti has been so recent. These are the areas, the people that are on listed as our partners, which I think have some services in that area impacted. And so if we could just, Jessica, if you could pass the mic, if we could just let everybody who's willing to give a short update, give an update of what's been going on. Jim, can you start?
Good morning again. So actually I was just down in Haiti 5 days after the quake for about 9 days, and it was pretty sobering.
Oh, you turned on? Okay.
Pull my mask down. Is that better? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. I can tell. Okay, I just was down in Haiti about 5 days after the earthquake, because our campus at Maison de Naissance had suffered some fairly heavy damage. And a majority of our staff lost their homes as well, either heavily damaged or completely destroyed. So working with our facilities manager and our in-country director, and lots of community volunteers, I might point out, in the local area. In the 8 days that I was there, we managed to get everything set up and operating again in temporary shelter. We obtained some large tents that they could use for consultation space, and cleaned out what had been our laundry and storage facility and disinfected it, made it into a delivery room. And I'm happy to say that last Sunday night, the midwives delivered 6 babies in that makeshift facility. But overall, I think, as you may have heard from others, this earthquake was worse than the one in 2010, not just the magnitude of the quake, but the fact that it spread out over such an immense rural region, and there are many little villages scattered all through there, some of which rescue workers did not actually get to until as much as a week after the earthquake, because the roads were destroyed, bridges were out. But it has been, I will say, a very well-coordinated rescue and relief effort, thanks to some organizations working in Haiti, like Haiti One and the Dalton Foundation. And I think that there's great hope for the southern part of Haiti in the end to come out better for this. I'm not minimizing the effect of the quake on the people who lived there, but systems are being put in place to prepare them for future disasters, and people have learned from this one how to respond better in the future.
Okay, thank you. Is anybody here from Haiti Episcopal Learning Program? Would you like to speak on what's going on?
Yes, thank you. My name is Isam Bond with the HELP program, Haiti Episcopal Learning Program. We are a collection of religious missions associated with the Episcopal Church in Haiti, and specifically around the Lakai area. We have about 9 schools ranging, teaching from K1 to K6, and the damage reports have been ranging from minor damage to complete devastation. So we are still working to get a handle on how much work we need to do to rebuild our schools. Currently, the aid sent down has been going for medicine and food, and the reconstruction will be kind of in a second phase. But we ask for your prayers for our students down there.
Okay, thank you. Hope for Caribbean kids. Would somebody like to speak on that?
We're basically shut out at this point in time in terms of access to our school. Our main coordinator lives in the northern mountains of Haiti. And in order for him to get there, this is pre-earthquake. The earthquake wasn't a major impact to our area, other than the storm or the hurricane, whatever it was after that, washed out the road to our area for the second time in 2 years. So we cannot even get delivery of goods to the location short of, so our main supplier would have to drive through, and during the violence that was going on, he could not get through Port-au-Prince safely. And so then when he moved, actually the hurricane, not the hurricane and the earthquake actually calmed the violence down to a certain extent so he could get through Port-au-Prince. Once he did that, though, he could not get up because our road that we get to there is basically a cow path, and it had washed out. So what he had to do is take his truck up there, or the rental truck, and when they got up there, the road was washed out again, so they had to rent or pay people on motorcycles to haul it out, actually up to the school, one motorcycle at a time. And it was 2 months, 3 months worth of school supplies, food that we're providing to the students. So we're kind of really, at this point in time, limited access to our school. And so ours is a logistics problem at this point in time. It's not funding. It's just a matter of getting stuff there because our supply chain is really spread out.
Okay.
So that's what we're trying to work on to get that improved. As my wife says, anybody have a helicopter?
Well, we might be
Big
able,
one.
this is a good reason why we have this symposium. So hopefully we can get some answers networking together.
Well, that would be great because, like I said, we've been dealing with that road for 2 years now. So
Okay,
thanks.
Anybody from Global Orphan Project? St. Michael's Episcopal Church? Yeah, I know we have somebody from Hig. Oh,
Who? Yeah, hi, this is Gary Welker. I'm not sure if you can
okay.
hear
Thank
me
you.
or not.
Yes.
Great. I think Jim and Isam covered our circumstances pretty well. We have a range of destruction from fairly minor to severe, and so far we've just been, excuse me, we've been supplying funds for food and water and other assistance, medical assistance, and right now we're starting the process of supplying funds for reconstruction of houses. But other than that, I think Jim and Isam covered it pretty well. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. And Higgins Brothers, as we mentioned when we first introduced, they are close to the Dominican Republic, but they did take a team down. So if you want to share.
On Tuesday after the earthquake had happened, Dr. Higgins was able to, had a trip actually planned. So the team from Palm Parisiennes met them in Port-au-Prince with some supplies and plus the supplies he was bringing to them. And they were able to take the back roads up over the mountains and get to the area where they spent, I think, 4 to 5 days that they did surgery. And they had recruited a orthopedic surgeon from somewhere. I'm not sure where our local surgeons had found him, but they recruited and had a orthopedic surgeon and the general surgeons, and they did some orthopedic work and some wound surgery and debridement and care for those people that had crush injuries and the such like for that period of time. I'm not sure if any of our surgeons are still in the area working or not, but they brought, I think, 1 or 2 of the patients back out of that area to our center to have some other surgery and stuff taken care of while they were there. So
Thank you. Thank you. So there's a lot. Yes.
I just thought I'd say, since this symposium is all about getting goods into Haiti, which is really important and oftentimes difficult, right now, food is hard to obtain, but there is food. Water, clean water is hard to obtain, but there is water.
Jim, can you hold it a little closer?
Oh, but there's so food and water are available, although they're in shortage, but there's almost no shelter for people who lost their homes. So really the top priorities right now for everybody to think about is people need shelter. That's tents and tarps, and then food and water.
Thank you.
Hi, Sean Miller with Homes from the Heart. So last year, Redeem Jadone, we call him Jimmy. Everybody calls him Jimmy.
Yeah, he
was one of our speakers. And so the day after the earthquake, Jimmy grabbed some of his friends and went straight down there. And I don't know how he does all of this, but he ended up with 8 doctors that went down there. And he said much of what you'd said too, the need certainly initially was for food and water, but also just for shelter, because there's so many people that don't have any. I mean, he walked through a couple of villages with a video and sent it to us, and every single home was not inhabitable, safely. So he's still down there right now. I couldn't get a hold of him yesterday or today, so the coverage is pretty spotty. And he's even gone out to this remote island with these guys, and he said some of the people that he's met with, if they've seen a doctor in their entire life, it was as a child. So many of these people for the first time are seeing doctors. But also we're just building some temporary structures, and the good news is he does have access to building materials, and food and water's available, but they obviously need to be able to purchase it, but we can get it down there. So,
Great.
But he said too, because I was asking him about his ability to get down there, because you hear about the gangs that have taken over some of the cities that, you have to go through to get there. And he indicated it probably wouldn't be the same for us, but for his group, there was a bit of a ceasefire or something there was a bit of a truce that allowed them to kind of pass through the area, at least right after the earthquake. So
Yeah.
Well, he's there and he's been there ever since. So yeah, I guess now it's probably very difficult to get there again. So.
Is there any other organization that has gotten involved in the South? Okay. Thank you for the update. And the need is great. So we just appreciate everybody who's doing this service. So trying to move right along, our first speaker is Jackie and John Settle. They do shipping. So they are joining us via pre-recording. So this they're not even going to be online for Q&A. Oh, they are? Awesome. So I'm going to play their video, and then we'll open up their mics so that you guys can do some Q&A with them. So have to excuse my technology. Oh, I'm still in. I want to be in. Yes.
My name is John. This is my wife, Jackie, and we're the founders of Dreams for Haiti. We've been asked to tell you a little bit about what we've learned on shipping containers to Haiti. I'll tell you, it's a lot of fun. I'll tell you, it's also a lot of hard work. First one we loaded, when we sent it, it was 2 degrees when we were loading it here. And Jackie took a trip and followed it to Haiti, and when they unloaded it, it was 102 degrees. Big difference. She said that people were really excited, and when she saw the joy on their faces, it made it worth all the uncomfortable moments we had. I just really enjoy helping people like that. Even though I wasn't there to see it, I've seen it later. First step in shipping your stuff to Haiti is to gather all your stuff together. Like a lot of small groups, you may not have a big warehouse, so you've got stuff in your garage and maybe a small storage area, your basement, and you don't really know exactly what you've got. So it's best when you're getting close to shipping time, get it all together. You want to see what you've got, because there's some things you might decide, well, maybe I really don't need to ship that. It's best to know that ahead of time than to wait until you're getting ready to put it on the container to find that out. So it's best to know exactly what you have. And you want to have enough to fill the container. You don't want to send one that's half full. It costs just as much to send air as it does to send things that fill that space up. Our mantra is we don't ship air. If you saw our containers, you'd know we try to fill every nook and cranny there is. So once you've gathered your items and you're ready to go, you think you need to get a hold of the shipping company or a freight forwarder, as it's called. They offer 20 and 40-foot containers. 40-foot is by far the best deal. It's twice the space, obviously, but it's not twice the money. So we've always gone with 40-foot. If you don't have enough stuff to fill it yourself, there's a lot of missions in this area that work in Haiti, and they'll be able to help you fill it. It also helps you with the cost. So we've had as many as, I think, 15 groups on some of our containers. 40-foot is actually 40 foot long, 8 foot wide, 8 foot 9 inches tall. You'll find out that's a lot of space to fill. Holds a lot of stuff, but you got to remember, if you've got things like bicycles and furniture, they can really eat that space up because they don't stack like boxes do. So keep that in mind too. And if you've got a lot of heavy items, don't put them all in the front or in the back. Try to distribute that way. It just works better. Your shipping company should give you an estimate of what things are going to cost. They will obtain the container for you and have it delivered to where you want to ship from. Most of them will not deliver to a residential area. Keep that in mind. They want more of a business locale. It's best if you can find a place with a loading dock and maybe even the use of a forklift. It really helps with loading. But we have shipped and helped people load in a church parking lot. So it can be done a lot of different ways. Try to make it as easy as you can on yourself, because it's, like I say, it is a lot of work. There's different ways that they will deliver it. One is called live load, and the other one is drop and pull. And a live load, they don't unhook the trailer. The driver just sits in the cab or whatever and waits for you. You've got like 2 hours to fill it. We can't do that. We get ours delivered on like Friday morning, and they pick it up Monday. That's called a drop and pull. Be sure and have that discussed with your freight forwarder, your shipping company, before they deliver it. We like it on Friday. Monday, it just gives the weekend. If you've got different groups on there, it gives them time to get their stuff to you. As you're loading, you'll find out it's very important to have a list of all things you're putting on. Try to keep things in a box. If you've got school supplies, try to mark that box school, and you need a list of the things in the box, written on the box. If you've got clinic supplies, same thing, box mark clinic and make a list, put it on the box. If you've got food, canned and non-perishable foods, mark that as such. Keep that together, because the shipping company is going to need a manifest of all the things that you're shipping, and you're going to have to group together. Like if you've got 50 boxes for school, 35 for clinic, and all that, then you'll know it when you go through your list. So it's very important to keep a handle, a good idea of what exactly is on the container. Once you've loaded your stuff and you call in to pick it up, they take it back to their yard, and it's usually sent by rail in to one of the shipping ports in this country, to Miami or New York, something like that. And it's loaded in onto the ship. And that's where they want that weight, fairly even. Nothing exactly, but fairly even. Some of your shipping lines will go straight to Haiti, and other ones take a leisure stroll through the Caribbean and go to different ports. It's best to know that when you're ordering your tickets, so talk to that with your freight forwarder. Once your ship does get to Haiti, your container, it'll be lifted off and set down in the port, and that's the end of the contract with your shipping company here in the U.S. When it's in Haiti, though, you need an agent, and he takes care of releasing your container. He also should help you find a franchisee. A franchisee is somebody that has like a license to ship things into Haiti. You can't just ship things into Haiti. You go through the person with the franchisee where you can ship things legally to Haiti, and then your agent takes care of lining that all up for you. And he'll also help you find a port or a place to have your container pulled to where you can unload. And you probably all heard horror stories about things that sit in the port for months and months, even a year. You got to remember though, you've got like a 2-week, I think it is, 2-week grace period from when your container gets there until it should clear customs and be pulled away. If it's longer than that grace period time, they start charging you anywhere from $30 to $70 a day for it to sit there. And they charge you even if the port's closed. Around Christmas time, the ports will close, but if your container's there, they're going to keep charging you that daily fee. And that horror stories I mentioned, those aren't just stories. We personally know people that have had their stuff set and set and set, and that fee just keeps rolling. Excuse me. Tell you an interesting story about how we found our agent. Jackie was on a trip to Haiti, and they visited the school. And while they were in the school, they were, looking at the rooms and everything. And when she came back to the States sometime later, there was a young man that came to St. Louis Bible College. He wanted to be a preacher, but he wasn't at the school that day. He was at the school, but he was out that day, so Jackie didn't meet him there. We met him here in St. Louis when he was at Bible College. And we got to be friends with him here. When we went back to Haiti, we kept up that friendship. This was in the 80s. And now when we go to Haiti, a lot of times we'll spend time at his house. It just seems ironic to me when we got ready to ship, he said that was his tent making job to get things released through customs. So we think we plan ahead. I think God set this up years ago when we met this guy here in St. Louis in the 80s, and he's getting our containers out now. I think it's just great. During the time your container's sailing around in the Caribbean, you've got work to do here. You don't just kick back. You've got papers that need to be gotten in order. Some need to be notarized, different papers. And all this has to be sent. You have to DHL it to your agent in Haiti. He will need these things to get your container released through customs. Your agent also hire a truck driver to get your container pulled to where you want to unload. You have a short amount of time. The driver will just sit there when you unload the container, then he'll take it back to the shipping company or to the port, and it'll be returned to your shipping company. Other thoughts, shipping have helped us. We've hired a guy from our local church that we know pretty well, and he hires 10 or 12 young men there that work for him, and they unload the containers. We pay them pretty well, and we also give them a box of food to take home to their families. And he's told them that if they throw, steal, or break anything, that they're not going to work for him ever again. They really treat our stuff nice. They really do. They do a fabulous job. And like I said, we pay them well, and they look forward to us coming again because they're asking our friend, when they come again, can we help? So we really appreciate having them. Another thing that helps on your containers, if you've got a lot of groups, when they're unloading, they unload fast and they don't want to read your label. So what we do is have each group have a different color tape. And they put a strip of this tape. You have to wrap the whole box in it, a 3 or 4 inch piece of tape maybe. And they just see that color, and they stack all the boxes of that color in one area and all the boxes of another tape color in another area. It works real well for them being faster. It also works when the Haitian people are coming to pick it up. A lot of our groups are headquartered up here, but whoever comes to pick up their stuff has to pick it up. We thought it was just great. One of the groups, when they first shipped with us, I think their color was purple. And the guy that came to pick it up had a purple shirt on. Jackie said it, it was really neat. We liked that. Very easy to see that he was actually there after that stuff. You have to be real careful because if it does go to the wrong place, somebody picks up a box. Our groups work all over in Haiti, some to the south, some in Port-au-Prince, some to the north, some over in Lagana, the island. And it's logistically, it gets to be a nightmare to get these things returned to the right people. So it's best, like I say, to color code them and also have people you trust to get them unloaded into the right people. Hopefully you will find a safe place, hopefully with a wall around it, and hire a guard. We've seen people get through the gate and crawl under the truck and try to get boxes of food and steal them all. And it gets to be a riot scene very quickly. It can get away from you. You want to guard from that the best you can. After shipping a lot of containers, one thing I want you to think about is when you look at your stuff, is it really important? Do they really need it? Is it worth shipping or is it just junk? Haiti is a very poor country. We all know that, but the Haitians have dignity. Please send usable items. They don't want your junk. Sometimes it's easier to buy things there than it is to ship. So you have to be careful on what you're shipping. We've seen heavy winter coats. Light winter coats are fine, but heavy winter coats we've seen, electronics going to areas that don't have electricity, things like that. And it's best to really know exactly what you're shipping and what their needs are. You're always looking out for their needs. Right now we've got 3 containers in the works. Hopefully, 1st of October, Jackie does the office work. 1st of October, we're hoping to ship 3 containers to Haiti. Due to the earthquake, recent earthquake, and the tropical storm that followed it in, it's hard right now. A lot of people, the big, well-known groups that work in Haiti are trying to send things, but fuel's more expensive, and they're having people not come into work, having difficulty because of COVID. So it's really hard to estimate how long it's going to take your container to get there. It used to take about a month, but now with these delays, with the COVID and the gangs in Haiti and the assassination of the president, you can count on it being longer than a month. It's hard sometimes to gauge when to buy that ticket to go. So rely on your shipping company and your agent and plan that as best as possible. The custom office closes down at Christmas. I think I might have mentioned that. Your containers are going to be sitting there when they're closed. So try to not ship over the holidays because, like I said, that charge keeps coming. I hope this gives you a better idea of what's involved in shipping containers to Haiti. When your shipping day arrives, make it a fun day. It's going to be a lot of work, but make it a fun day. First thing you want to do is invite people. It's better to have more people show up than you really need than to have more needs than people that you didn't invite. So you want to have people there. And like I say, make it a fun day. We bring donuts, bring drinks, soda, tea, cold water, and just have a good time. Whenever our group gets together for anything, we have a good time. We just enjoy our fellowship together, like to work together. So there's going to be surprises and aggravations. Just learn to roll with them. Remember, you're working for the people of Haiti, for their benefit, for their good, and keep at it. We wish you the very best. May God bless you, your mission, and the people of Haiti. And remember, glory to God. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much. I am going to open this up to Q&A, but technology challenges. I didn't set this up as a webinar, so you won't see, if you're online, a Q&A questions. But if you will just put your questions in the chat or raise your hands and we can unmute you if you're online. Those of you here, if you have a question, we'll bring the mic around. So, any questions? Jackie, are you there?
Yes, we're here.
Okay. Well, I'll start with one question. If we, are you open to taking more people, adding more organizations into your shipments?
Yes, that would be fine.
And what would be the logistics to get the stuff to you?
We have some people that live in Haiti that put things on our container, and they will order off of Amazon and have it shipped to our house. We've had people drive from Indiana, Wisconsin, Kansas to bring items to us.
And where are you located?
We're in St. Charles, Missouri.
Okay. So for us here around the metro area, that's
20
not far.
miles to St. Louis.
Okay. Other questions? Can you get the mic?
Is their primary mission to ship things? Is that
Right.
connecting people that are giving here with folks that are receiving?
I'll let you say it into the mic. The online people aren't catching.
Is your primary mission to essentially connect people that want to give things to Haiti with organizations in Haiti? So your role in all of this is shipment?
No, actually, we have an organization, Go Naives. We have an animal project, and we had been shipping to them, and people started asking us, can we just put a few things on your container? So we've opened it primary at all, but it's becoming that, it seems like. And we do help each other. A lot of times when we're there loading, someone will say, oh, I have this and I don't need it. Does anybody? And we're able to connect them with somebody that could better use it.
So if we wanted to ship something down to a group that we have there, we could get it to you in St. Charles, and then we just tell our people in Haiti, this is where you need to be to pick it up?
Yes, yes. I take the contact information and we stay in contact with your person there.
Go ahead.
Yes, could you tell me what the approximate cost to ship a container to Haiti is today?
It would depend on where you're shipping from. From St. Louis, I think it's about 13,000, 13 to 14,000 right now.
Josie. Oh. So if we were to get supplies to you, is there a charge? I can't imagine that you don't charge something for the service.
That's John's area, and we go by cubic foot, and he tries to measure everything, and then he spends about 3 days working on making sure everybody is being treated fairly with the cost, and we send out a bill.
Janice, we do have a question online from Edelbert. He asked, could you please share their phone number? I would love sharing with my Haitian friends here in Kansas City, Missouri. So if that's something that we could connect.
Yeah, if you can share your phone number on the video, and then in a follow-up, when I send the survey out, I'll also include your contact information.
Okay, yeah. Our group is called Dreams for Haiti, and we have a website. Our phone number, mine would be 636-399-8050, and John's is 636-399-8049.
The gentleman asked the approximate cost, and you said $13,000. Does that include the fees for your agent and everything on the Haitian side, or is that just the shipping to get it to
Yes,
Haiti?
that's total.
Thank you.
Could you tell us where we would send people to pick up the items in Haiti? And then a second question is, what's the approximate cost per cubic foot for items?
$650. Each time we do it, we've unloaded in different areas. We've unloaded at the Methodist compound in Port-au-Prince. We've unloaded in Titayan. We've unloaded up by St. Mark. I try to find somewhere that's safe. The last time was in St. Mark, and it was in a walled area. We hired police because of the gangs along the highway. So it just depends. I think this time we're looking at Titayan or St. Mark.
Thanks. And then the average, if you can, ballpark cost per cubic foot?
We're going to go with 650, but right now we have not shipped one because of COVID for a little while. So it may be more than that. It may be $7 a cubic foot. Like I say, I work hard to try to keep this, because I know there's little groups that work right out of their house like we do. They don't have a big budget. So we try to be fair and honest with everybody. You never know in Haiti. Sometimes you're going to get a charge anywhere up to $500 to maybe $1,000 on a container that you didn't know about when you shipped it.
Right.
So I'm going to say $650 up to $7 a cubic foot.
Okay. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Do we have any other questions?
Heidelberg is asking again about northern Haiti. Are they going to, I think he's asking if they're going to northern Haiti as well.
Is there anything further north that ports, do you go into Cap Haitian or anything like that?
I have never used Cape Haitian or St. Mark because our guy that gets them out lives in Port-au-Prince and works in Port-au-Prince. He can get them out anywhere. We are looking at going into, I think it's called Lafito Port this time, so we can avoid Port-au-Prince. But we have not done that.
Okay, we really appreciate your time. Got a lot of heads nodding. Oh, one more question. I just. So they were asking about the where the location was of the last port that you mentioned, and it was just north of Port-au-Prince.
Yes.
So.
And we did have someone ask, and I will not pronounce this correctly. Is there a way to get things to Is it Lakai?
Lakai.
Lakai. My apologies.
I'm not familiar with ports there, so I'm not sure. I could look into it though if someone would like me to.
Jim.
There is actually a port in Lakai. They rebuilt the pier after Hurricane Matthew because it wasn't usable at that time. But they have never set up any sort of receiving operation for things to be brought in that way. So it's not in use.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you very much for the saddles, for just giving us some information and some options. And we appreciate it. And I'll pass on your contact information as well. So appreciate your time. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is John, JJ, and Bob Shane. They're with Missionary Flights. So this is organization who will fly materials and people into Haiti. So they are pre-recorded, and they're the ones that aren't going to do Q&A. But if we have any questions, we'll take note of them, and I'll try and get those answers and send it out with a survey as well, or subsequent emails to attendees, okay?
My name's JJ. I work as the content strategist at Missionary Flights International. Is located in Fort Pierce, Florida. And as far as Fort Pierce, Florida and the Treasure Coast is concerned, we really receive the most mail at any single location, really in our area. We serve over 550 different affiliated organizations that specifically are partnering with us to not only transport supplies and cargo, but that supplies, cargo, and their passenger travel is for the purpose of transporting life-saving supplies and the hope of the gospel to the people of Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and the Bahamas. First and foremost, I want to say thank you. You're joining for a symposium that has to deal with taking equipment and supplies into the island of Haiti. And if you're an organization that's looking to do that, you're likely already responding to the earthquake disaster relief that's occurring in the southern peninsula of Haiti. As you remember, on August 14th, a 7.2 magnitude earthquake hit that area just outside of Lakai and kind of south of the Nips area of Haiti, and we prepared to fly on Sunday morning. We had cargo that was already scheduled to go into Haiti, and so we wanted to be able to get it to our missionaries, but the response has been consistent. We've got many, many calls, and if you're an organization that's looking to use our services right now at this time, the honest truth is you're gonna have to go through a process, and we just ask that you be patient with us. The organizations that are affiliated with us like to use our services for a number of reasons, but I would say that one of the main reasons that they choose to use us and they continue to use us is that we do have a very personal service whenever it comes to cargo transportation and passenger transportation. Again, thank you guys so much for joining us as I kind of grab Bob Shane in the middle of an extremely busy time. We actually are in the middle of earthquake response in Haiti, as well as the typical day-to-day logistical situations that arise with cargo. And Bob is going to share on that in just a moment. I know you're interested to know how that all looks and some of the questions. But Bob is what you would consider kind of like a customer service rep at Missionary Flights. He deals with all questions considered. But with that, Bob ends up ultimately speaking with people. He's got a map in his office with all of the missionaries and where they're located. He loves to know how to pray for them and be able to stay engaged in their lives. And so while customer service for most people you call and it feels like they're not engaged, Bob is actually engaged and knows the people and knows the stories. And so that's what we really love about him here at Missionary Flights. And so I'm going to ask him just a few questions. And in the middle of this craziness, and in the middle of all that you do, go ahead and briefly share just how you assist affiliated missionaries in logistical transportation of their equipment and supplies to Haiti.
Like you mentioned, it's kind of like a customer service department. I get emails, phone calls on a regular basis every day from people, missionaries, families in the States, even vendors. They'll have a question about a particular mission, have a question about cargo that's coming, when will it be received, how soon will it get taken to Haiti, how soon once it gets there will it be released from customs, and charges, MFI's charges for items being sent, questions that just about run from A to Z on the items that we deal with.
Right, and even to go off script a little bit, I know you're so excited about that, but you said that word, how soon, how soon, how soon. Can you tell us how soon things happen in Haiti? Sometimes, I mean, sometimes it's I know we can guess, but how soon would you say, what's your typical response to that?
There's never a given answer. It's all speculation. A lot of it depends on the season. Christmas season has its own problems. And it also depends on which port that it's going to. The Port-au-Prince cargo will fly from here to Port-au-Prince and is taken directly into customs there where it gets processed. Now that can take maybe anywhere from 5 days to 2 weeks. And of course, when Christmas is here, it could be even longer. In Cape Haitian, missions are expected to meet the plane when it arrives, and they will do their own negotiating with the customs officials there and take the cargo right on the spot.
That's very good. And again, you even mentioned the Christmas season, and we will, just in case anyone is curious, when do we start receiving shipments for Christmas? If you have kids or you have families that you serve there in Haiti in that way, we will start receiving easily in October. I've only been here for 3 years, and we receive shipments. It feels like it's almost a week earlier every year since I've been here. So as those missions begin to understand how quickly they need to get things in, we'll begin receiving things, I believe, this year in September. And so I can see that happening. So just something to consider if you're looking toward that Christmas season ever. It's better to get it in sooner rather than later. So go ahead and provide just an example. There are many that we could give, but provide just one example of a common logistical issue that you've run into when transporting cargo to Haiti.
This comes up almost daily, and it's people, well-intending people will send items here with an incomplete address. As you look around, you can see the mailboxes. Each mission is assigned its own unit number, AKA mailbox, and sometimes we will receive items just addressed to Missionary Flights International. And I'll try to do some research to determine which specific mission this will go to. Another example is common names. We have more than one Martin, more than one Michael Martin. And sometimes we receive items addressed to Michael Martin, and we have to try to figure out which is the real Michael Martin. And there's Smiths, there's several different situations with that.
And again, moving forward, if you ever have any questions about any other logistical issues, you can always call us and you can ask. If Bob Shane's got the time, he'd be happy to answer any of those questions. But
we make time. We make the time.
We'll make time. He says that. He's got such a great heart, but the reality is it is sometimes hard to make that time, especially in these moments of disaster response. So just be patient with us, and we'll be happy to help you should you have any questions. So do you have a unique example? I know that we do. We're actually working on it right now. A unique example of one mission that you've recently helped with cargo and transportation.
This is actually a very special mission and missionary to us here at MFI, and this is actually happening today. We have a missionary, Mike Sonnenschein, who is actually a retired Army Ranger. He left the military and went into the mission field. He's been serving in Haiti for several years now, and for a number of different reasons, they were in the process of moving out. However, several weeks ago, Michael and his wife Hope were ambushed on the road. Michael was shot and is currently paralyzed from the chest down. He was flown by air ambulance into the States, where he's been in treatment, and he is now receiving physical therapy. However, he still had a lot of items, household items, personal effects that were left behind. And so we are actually arranged transportation with a sister mission and a friend of Mike's and ours who has gathered all of his belongings. We've done the paperwork, and it should be being loaded on the plane to bring back here pretty much as we speak. So it's Michael's been a blessing to all of us. We are deeply concerned about him and deeply in prayer for him and Hope. Just asking for God's grace, mercy, and healing for Mike.
Right, and as you can imagine, I said we're in the middle of this right now. Actually, right before this video, we started shooting this interview. We got a call from the plane, wants to know if we can swap around which plane is actually going to be holding those items. And so sometimes, again, logistically, Bob Shane, he's already finished the paperwork, but the servant's heart that he's having with it, he knows it needs to get back. And it's a timely manner for that. And so potential changing around of that paperwork, letting our customs officials here know that change, and just there's a little bit of logistics that goes into those sort of things. And so again, this is something that Bob is involved in, and he's dealt with any of those potential changes, issues that come. But just because we mentioned them, Mike and Hope, if you are interested in learning their story, knowing more about them, you can obviously contact Missionary Flights. We'd be happy to pass along information about what they've done and who they are, but you can also find them on Facebook. You can pray for them, and if you're interested, please ask how they're doing. They're just seeking the Lord's guidance in what they'll be doing next, and so I just want to provide that opportunity for you right now. You're looking specifically for transportation options or trying to get people or supplies over to Haiti, I do have a few considerations for you. You probably have already considered these, but I just want to make them clear. One is commercial air travel. We fly passengers on a pretty consistent basis. And what we often deal with is passengers that also want to travel with their supplies. Affiliated organizations, specifically those that are going into Port-au-Prince, many of them will use us to actually fly supplies ahead of time, and then we'll hold it in our MFI mailroom that we actually have on location, on site in Port-au-Prince. And then passengers will fly from outside other areas in the United States into Port-au-Prince, connect with the truck, and also pick up their supplies at our mailroom. So if you have questions on that, please give Missionary Flights a call. In the country of Haiti, we have an organization that's a great partner, great friends, and that's through Mission Aviation Fellowship, and their designation is MAF. If you're interested in flights in country, trying to go from Port-au-Prince out to other areas, maybe smaller airport strips, you want to try to get in contact with them, MAF, Mission Aviation Fellowship. Look for those that are flying out of Haiti, but they do fly from the general aviation side out to other areas of the island. And so it would be a great resource and a great connection just for you to begin to make, especially if you're looking to travel down with teams or other supplies that needs to get throughout the country. So please give them a call if you're able, and just research what you need to on that organization as well. And finally, missionary flights might be the perfect organization for you. You might serve somewhere in country and you might serve near an airport that we fly to. We have some missions that prefer to use us just because of the ease of transportation and the reliability of being able to get from Fort Pierce, Florida into Haiti. And if your organization is considering becoming affiliated, please give us a call at 772-462-2395, or you can always go to our website. If you'd like to just send a direct email to our vice president, his name is Larry Campbell, and I'll drop his email right here below the screen, and you have the ability to contact Larry via email, let him know that you're interested in becoming an affiliated mission, and he'll go through that affiliation process with you. And finally, I just want to say thank you so much for supporting the island of Haiti. We've been serving there since the mid-70s. So we absolutely do love the island, and we want to see that island flourish. We want to see the people pull out of their difficult circumstances. And we believe that through partnering together, through prayer and through pouring in love, that we will see that island continue to change for the better. We'll see the people continue to rise up in the middle of these difficult circumstances, including this earthquake. And I just ask, if you would, please bow with me for a moment of prayer for the people of Haiti. Father, I thank you so much that just these organizations have gathered together and that we have the opportunity to be able to love on the people of Haiti during this time. Father, I just ask that for those that have found themselves trapped after the earthquake, for those that have found themselves homeless, for those that have lost loved ones, God, that you bring comfort. Father, as those organizations do respond, as the mobilization continues during this time, I just ask that you direct our steps, you direct our hearts, you direct our minds and our hands. God, as our pilots are in the air, continue to give them strength, continue to empower them as they fly so that they can make wise decisions going to and from the States and Haiti. Father, for those missionaries that we already serve, I know there are many on the ground right now of those 550 different organizations. And Father, I just ask that you encourage them, empower them, uplift them right now, give them new strength, even at this time, to continue the work that you have for them to do. And I pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
So I do know on the bio, I listed the cities that they do fly into. So under their bio, I think there's just 5 or 6 different cities that they fly into. So we can handle this a couple ways. If we've got some questions that we want me to just facilitate sending it because you think it'll help everybody with the answers, I will do that. We can take a few minutes to do that. Or obviously you have direct contact. So does anybody want to share some questions that they want me to facilitate? Yes.
Not necessarily questions, a comment. We've been coordinating and discussing with them for a couple of years. And what we found out is because we go to the Southern Mountains, Jacmel is this place where they do fly into. And we found out you need a 10 missionary group, but it frankly ends up being as cheap to go through them as it is commercial. In other words, if you fly into, I think it's Orlando, and then you travel down to their place, was that Fort Pierce, they will fly into Port-au-Prince, and the logistics is a vast improvement if you have to go through Port-au-Prince. You land the plane on the tarmac, customs comes out, checks you there, and you fly directly from Port-au-Prince into Jacmel. You don't have to go through the airport, any of that stuff. So we all know what that's like. So I'm trying to encourage our folks. Our problem is our missionary team is only 5 that typically goes. So it's not cost effective for us to do it.
When you say 5 versus 10, you mean?
If you got 10 people in your team.
Oh, so this is for teams.
So it ends up being fairly cost effective if you got a team of 10. And then you also can take your stuff
with you,
with your baggage and that sort of stuff. So I would try to encourage our group to say, okay, it said 10 people. So we're trying to get it done, and I would love for us to do it that way. they seem to be great people, but it's just, that's our experience with them. So.
Can you pass the mic?
Well, I'm with Project Cope, and we use MFI. Sorry. Awesome group. We use them. I took a team in June and July, and we were taking 9 to 10 with freight. And taking them in that way, you can, depending on what you're taking, weight-wise, we usually try to take it with us. We do ship stuff using a group out of Miami. But awesome, just an awesome group. They fly us into Cape Haitian. We get out, go through customs, get back on the plane, and they take us up to Pignon and drop us off like 3 miles from our base. And just awesome group of people. Bob Shane, anytime I need something, if I need it and I can get it in Fort Pierce or get it down in Miami or down the coast somewhere, they will send somebody to go get it and bring it back up and put it in our shipping place in Fort Pierce. So when I show up, they have it ready for me to just get on the plane with it and go. They have a hospitality house that's there off base that is absolutely awesome for teams. They can handle teams, pretty large teams, but MFI really, if they're taking cargo, 10, 15, 20, that's kind of pushing, depending on, if there's other missionaries going in with them. But if you ever need a place to fly in and out of, I mean, they are an awesome group to work with, and I just can't say enough about them. It's just neat knowing that you've got somebody there where I can go stay the night before, get on the airplane the next morning, and fly into Haiti to our mission work there.
Do you know what they charge for freight?
It varies. It does vary. I know we'll fly in, and customs, depending on how much freight is on the airplane, they'll fly up to Pignon with us. And then as it comes off the airplane, then we deal with them individually on what we take in. Yes, they'll send 2 customs people with us on the airplane. They usually reserve 2 seats because sometimes when we fly in, some of the people will get off at Cape and stay there, and then the rest of them they'll put customs on, fly them in with us. We take medical supplies in. We take pretty much anything. I mean, and like they were saying earlier, it's stuff that they need. You don't want to tie an airplane up for electronics that they don't need and stuff like. But anyhow, yeah, the neat group to deal with.
Jim, can you use the mic so online people?
I was just asking, how much does your group usually take with you in terms of supplies? Like how many pounds of supplies?
A lot of it depends because like right now I'm putting together a team to go in the end of November, and then I'll have another team that'll go in December. We'll send stuff in November, and then the team that'll go in December will go out into the villages. And we're affiliated with Haiti Home of Hope, an orphanage. We are right next to Haiti Home of Hope that we deal with in Haiti. We have schools in Haiti or up and around out in the bush up in by Pignon.
Well, thank you. Jessica, was there anything online that as I have you go back and forth.
She says, I have somebody who uses Project Hope with MFI all the time, or she's from Project Hope. They use MFI all the time. She says it's $150 per pound for freight. No, I think that's Charlene. Yeah.
$150 per pound.
$150 per pound. And then there was just another request for bioinfo. So I just made a note to get that out when we email.
Okay. So, you know, for us, it's getting it down to, so how do you get it down to them usually? Uh-huh. I'm sorry.
A lot of times, just for instance, that our generator, because we're remote, we're solar, our generator went down, and I found a company up in Jacksonville and had them UPS a starter down to Fort Pierce. And just pretty much that's it. Or either I take it down, because what I've got right now, we have several people that go to Florida, and I have them take stuff when they go. I utilize everything I can. We did ship a bus last year, and I drove it from Kansas City to Fort Pierce down to Miami to have it shipped over there. And they lost it 3 times getting it there. But for the most part, we just ship stuff right directly to MFI, and which is another plus about using them. I just have it shipped there, and it's just like his mail. I mean, we have it shipped there. He has a container there for us, and so.
So they do shipping as well as flight?
No. That's just based mainly flights.
Okay. If we don't have any other questions, again, you guys have the contacts. There's some information on the bio about where they, oh, one more question.
I need to know if they have helicopters.
No.
Or is it all planes? Even once they get it into Haiti, they can't transport it within Haiti? Okay, thanks.
All right. We are going to take a break here, and as much as I'm going to try, we're going to try, our next speaker is trying to Zoom in from Haiti. So assuming everything is in place, that shall work. So try to keep it to 10 minutes if you can. Be back here at 11. Thank you. Friends?
Yes,
Well,
yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
This is Pierre Cassius, and he's speaking to us. Those of you who are on Zoom can see him. Those of you who are in person, we haven't quite figured that out, but we'll work on it while he's talking, okay? All right, thank you, Pierre. You want to go ahead?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Franz Joseph Cassius from the Episcopal Church of Haiti. I want to say thank you to Janice for inviting me to be part of this conference. I will share with you some of my observation and my great concern about community participation in development projects. A key point to elicit real change in the community and to bring sustainability. Because as an Haitian, I feel really disappointed about my people's situation, expecting from day to day a better life. And unfortunately, no move in that direction. While every day we have organizations undertake new projects with a lot of money, but very few change in the situation. So projects are done for them, unfortunately, not with them. So as I said, my topic, I will share with you some of my idea about participation and community development initiative. So this presentation intends to focus on the crucial role of the members of a local community in a sustainable development projects. Many organizations undertake development projects all around Haiti in healthcare, education, agriculture, and so on. But all of them with real impact in the life of the target community, where members do not bring significant input to the process. They just benefit from some free services or donation or other help without any contribution to the process or any significant change in the behavior. Some organizations believe it is the best way to help those unfortunate people. From year to year, the projects do not address any community issues. People living in the target community are not trained to participate in terms of organizing themselves and taking responsibility for managing their problems. Taking responsibility includes identifying the problems, developing actions, putting them into place, and following through. The motivation to encourage real change and participation in community development projects is crucial for effective impact and sustainability. Community development will be purely superficial if there is no participation and specifically no action by members of the target community. Change cannot happen without community involvement. A project intended to fulfill whatever is needed requires synergy from the project inputs and the community inputs. This is the reason why it is necessary to maximize community participation in the process so that at the final step, we can really see what has changed. Yes, what has changed in the life and the behavior of the people in the target community. This is a key question to answer. When you truly understand or care to understand what kind of change you want to bring into the life of a community, you will find how important community involvement and contribution are. This is the best way to promote sustainability. Maison de Naissance progresses steps by steps to promote community participation in its maternal and infant health programs in Quebec, and has progressed smoothly to a growing sustainability. Strictly speaking, community participation provides an opportunity for citizens to express their real needs and their expectations, to bring their contribution to life-affecting process and crucial challenges. In a healthcare project established by Global Birthing Home Foundation in Quebec, we have experienced: 1. After being motivated and educated about the purpose of the services, people are more likely to respond positively in terms of input to service delivery in their community. Number 2, when services are relevant, people will bring individual and collective resources such as time, money, and energy to achieve the organizational goals. Number 3, workshops to provide information and education to elicit community involvement can help people to take control of their health in terms of prevention and challenge critical situations. A relevant development project needs to tailor quantitative and qualitative change. Future perspectives and service delivery strategies that reflect social issues, economic and environmental challenges, core values, literacy level, and the realities of the community. For instance, Maison de Naissance in Tobec provides healthcare services thrust by the community to pregnant women by establishing dynamic relationships with an efficient management style capable to empower its staff, an informing and consulting approach to the community. Maison de Naissance is responding approximately to the specific needs and realities of local communities in Tobec and the surrounding areas. In terms of leadership, Maison de Naissance in Les Cayes is a dynamic field characterized by a constant push to deliver the most efficient, safe, and high-quality care possible. The local team, while effectively managing resources, is coached regularly in decision-making and service delivery. In terms of style, innovative leadership focuses on how to deliver efficient services in complex and unstable environments with unpredictable circumstances, and how to encourage real community involvement in the project. Workshops, home visits, and involvement of other local organizations are valuable tools at the heart of such innovative leadership. To achieve MN program goals, community participation is a key point, eliciting substantial change in people's lives. To do so, the program encourages promotion of quality service and education on the benefits of these health services for pregnant mothers and children. Members of the community will bring their input in each step of the process, mostly when huge difficulties such as political instability become a serious threat, such as barriers to pursue normal activities, or when there is a lack of financial resources. By sharing the current situation in order to bring awareness of the challenge, project executive staff can seek out ways to conduct the work properly, manage people with more innovation, and finally receive substantial community participation. The concern will have significant impact in the process in short, mid, and long terms. Aurora states that public participation can create an awareness of problems and a search for solutions among the affected population, and thereby equips them as citizens to perform relevant activities to program development in a rational manner. Many developers think that poverty can interfere with community participation. In that way, the standard trend is to donated service. For many Haitians, easy access does not mean quality. It is certain that project managers should take into account what people can and will pay. Once again, they will suggest what is fair to contribute for services to fulfill their needs. On the other hand, participation is a good way to increase confidence and self-esteem in the process by allowing greater satisfaction and improved quality of life. People should also be trained to understand and contribute to many aspects of the project, especially the decision-making. Involving communities in decision-making will lead to better decisions being made. which are more appropriate and more sustainable because they are owned by the people themselves. Participation can reduce the risk of project failure and extra costs of the project. On the other hand, local staff members play an important role in expressing their own ideas and their experiences in the process, which tends to make them feel more intrinsically motivated. It is well known that intrinsic motivation often produces people best work. It can also result in high job satisfaction and reduced turnover. Finally, it is necessary to educate members in a target community about the expectation in a development projects in order to encourage participation and elicit new behavior patterns. Just by sharing the goals among local leaders and other key stakeholders, stressing needs to fulfill, a project manager can create good motivation and a willingness to cooperate in the process. Part of our recommendation is that a sustainable project needs to budget some financial resources to establish and support community mobilization efforts. Because community participation can take many forms, and each community is unique and always changing, project writers need to design the project in order to enable flexibility for local participation and tailoring in relation to the community assets and needs. In addition, establishing a formal support committee may represent a strategy to encourage community support for the project. However, such a structure may require ongoing support and training if it is to work well. To conclusion, the outcome of a project should not only reach established objectives and goals, but also elicit new behavior capable of promoting better surviving skills. There will also be new and unexpected methods to address a problem. The most important is that in community development, members of the community should play a role in the process of the development and be encouraged to do things for themselves. Secondly, it is necessary to have them as active agents, not just passive recipients without any dignity. Participation is a process by which people are enabled to become actively and genuinely involved in defining the issues of concern to them, in contributing to decisions that affect their behavior and growth, while receiving services and take action to achieve change. Thank you very much for your attention.
I'm trying to figure. Okay. So I'm gonna let. Yeah. All right.
Doesn't as well.
Jessica, yeah. There we go. Okay. Do we have some questions? I think we have some in chat as well.
Pierre Cassius, would you speak to how the Episcopal Church helps with getting supplies and equipment through to your ministries from the U.S. and Canada into Haiti?
Yes, for sure. The Episcopal Church is receiving goods, materials, and donation from Canada and Haiti. We receive them by cargo or private, transporters, but there is many ways that you can send those goods to Haiti. You can send a container directly to the DASs, and we're doing all the process to clear it from the customs.
So do you have agents that you work with that process through customs, or how does the church help with that?
For sure, we have an agent, but depending on where we get the goods or the container, we can use another agent. But for sure that we have one agent that we used to work with. And, because the church has, official paper to receive as a non-profit organization. So we will do all the process. And after that, it's quite a normal thing so that the agent can go throughout the custom and clear it for them.
Can you kind of explain the background of what all you do, what your role is in it, and what the agent has to do to get it through?
Normally, we receive notification from the people or the organization who wants to make the donation. And with the paper, we don't go to agent yet. With the paper, we have to send official letter to 2 ministers to have official authorization so that we can clear the goods or the containers. So the first step is to how the DASs we do it. The agent will come after when we get the authorization. We just give the authorization and it's gonna make the final process to clear the containers. But first of all, we receive the list and the paper, and then we start the process in an official level to have the clearance.
Do we have any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Per Cassius. We appreciate your time and really appreciate your insight on organizations and community development in Haiti. And if you have anything more that you can share with us about transportating and getting goods around in Haiti, that we appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much. And whoever wants to work with us, it will be a pleasure. Or to send whatever donation, we'll be glad to have that. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Oh, wait, we have another question.
Okay, go.
We do have a question. It says, our mission involves a school in rural Haiti that has recently been badly damaged. How can we include the community in rebuilding?
That's right. We are making a kind of evaluation, appraisal of our school who has been affected by the last earthquake. I'm in charge of all the dioceses and schools in the country. So, and we start our process to find if we can identify source that can help us to rebuild those schools. But many of them in the South could not restart until that we can get some kind of help just to do what is necessary to be done.
Per, do you mind if any of these attendees have questions? If I know that your email is available. If there's
That's right.
ways, so if there's ways that you guys can contact and help, he's very open to that.
Thank you very much.
Oh, Jim?
This isn't so much a question as a comment. To me, it seemed that earlier people were talking about our key point for the symposium, which is shipping to Haiti, and several people said make sure that what you ship is useful and meaningful. And I think that's a big part of what Per Cassius was talking about in his presentation. When you're working in Haiti or probably any other foreign country in a foreign culture, make sure that what you're doing is meaningful to the people that you're working with. I mean, so that's kind of the overall lesson I think that we can take from that.
That's good. Well, I like it. That's very important.
Okay. Thank you so much. And we will move on to our next presenter. Is John Mark online? Okay. So John Mark and Nellie Player are with Hospital Albert whatever. Yeah, sure. So they are really open. They don't have a speech, but what they want to do is be available. They've had a lot of success, and they've been in country for a long time. Jean-Marc, if you could just kind of give us a little history of the hospital, and then we'll open it up to questions.
Sure. Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's great to be with everybody today. Hôpital Albert Schweitzer, this is our 65th year of continuous operation in Haiti. We're a full-service hospital that serves a underserved population, even by Haitian standards, of over 350,000 people. We're the only full-service hospital that serves 350,000 people over a 600-plus square mile area. We have over 500 full-time staff, and to echo a little bit from what Per Cassius was saying, we really value the importance of listening to the community's needs and also involving local Haitians in implementing those solutions. Out of our 500 hospital staff in Haiti, I'm proud to say that 99.999% are Haitians. Haitian surgeons, Haitian physicians, Haitian nurses, physical therapists, on down the line. And that was not the case in 1956 and over the years, but we have evolved into hiring and training very, very capable local Haitian talent into the physicians and surgeons there are today. And we have many stories of literally 30, 40, 50 years ago. These were children in need that now are serving as our physicians. They've returned to their communities and are serving in our hospital. So in addition to the healthcare that we provide, we also provide 500 high-paying, high-quality jobs to our community here in Haiti. So that's a little bit of the background of our hospital. Just a brief update, here we've been hearing, I've been hearing from really a lot of everybody here on the call today on the details of logistics and shipping into Haiti. And wanted to put into context that all the problems that you guys are solving to get supplies in. Here's a status update, from the South. I've been there probably 40 trips to Kai, Jeremy, Poussine, Boucan-Noel, to villages that literally don't even exist on maps here in Haiti. And the latest casualty figures haven't been updated in weeks. It's around 2,500 or so. Unfortunately, the casualty figures are going to end up being much, much, much higher. I've been there with the Miyamoto International, which is a leading structural engineering firm, but we're seeing well over 80% of structures damaged throughout the South. And the casualty counts from civil protection, mainly they've counted folks around Kai and Jeremy, which are the larger cities. These rural areas, sometimes we were the first people to even be there, let alone to counting casualties. And in these remote areas, there are no morgues, so once there's a casualty, they will bury, obviously, the deceased fairly quickly. And the U.S. Geological Survey, the USGS, is a fantastic, very accurate model when these seismic events occur. And their model immediately showed that they projected between 10,000 and 100,000 deaths on this. So we're going to be seeing much closer to that 10,000, I think, at the end of the day, than the 2,500, and tens of thousands injured, of course. So I wanted to put that in perspective for everybody, that there's so many challenges with shipping things into Haiti and frustrations, but the good work that you guys are doing, I wanted to put in the context of the need that it's serving. So I just wanted to really express my gratitude to everybody, that is here on this call. And that is serving an amazing, amazing purpose here in Haiti. And I'm here in Haiti now, so let me just speak certainly for our patients and the people in the South a little bit, that it's amazing to me that this is in the Midwest of America. It's a Saturday on 9/11 that all of you are here participating in a call to see how to help your brothers and sisters in Haiti. So to me, it's a very moving thing and re-energizes me. It's been a long month. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that's participating today. In terms of logistics, for us, it's a little bit different. We have a lot of, we're talking about bringing in, importing stuff. We have a franchise here. So KC, like the Episcopal Church, what he was saying, the first thing is to logistically bring the stuff in. Then it's to have customs free, which is tax-free status coming in. So we have that. So all the stuff that we bring in, and we have a great logistics team in Pittsburgh, we bring it in and we clear it from customs 5 days, and it's all tax-free. So that's the other kind of hurdle sometimes in Haiti, is that people import things, but there's no formal tax-free organization it's going to, and they run into issues in that way. But there are challenges, there are horror stories, they are real, but as everybody, a lot of the participants on this call have shown, right? I mean, John and Jackie settle MFI, et cetera, with a little bit of pre-planning and getting kind of your ducks in a row stateside. It is very possible to bring in reliable relief supplies into Haiti if you do the homework on the front end. So I think this is a very useful seminar for folks that aren't familiar with the process, and I'm happy to participate in a small way in it. And if anybody has any questions for me, I'll be glad to listen.
Hello, Jean-Marc. This is Jim Grant from Maison de Naissance. I was
Jim, I've been avoiding you for a full month now.
That's why I've got you now.
Yeah.
No, I just wondered, are there any lessons learned that maybe you could share with the people here concerning problems that others have had getting things through customs, such as you send a shipment down to Haiti, and then it winds up languishing for months in customs. And I'm assuming you can't afford to let this happen in your situation with the hospital. You can't have equipment or medical supplies languishing in customs for months on end. So are there lessons that you've learned that would help all the people here in their future efforts to ship things into Haiti?
Well, Jim, what I would encourage them to do is to get the front end of the process nailed down. There's an old adage in construction, right? Like, measure twice, cut once. And it's been addressed on this call in terms of making sure you're shipping to a formal organization here that has a kitsus, it has a patent at the bare minimum, and hopefully has a tax exemption, which is not all organizations. So I would just encourage the paperwork and the homework to be done on the front end, before the shipment goes out.
So you're really encouraging people, even if we're small organizations here in the States, obviously who we're working with is not tax exempt in Haiti. But you are encouraging us to partner with those type of organizations to get our shipments down there, correct?
Yeah, I mean, there's two types. There are charitable organizations down here that do not have the customs exemption, and at which, and there is a process for that, right? These are donated materials. So what ends up happening, let's say there's a 40-foot or a 20-foot container of donated materials. There's an estimated value on that. So if you're going to an organization here that does not have customs exempt status, there might be a customs fee assessed on that shipment. Now, if it's an organization that has that customs exempt status, then no, there won't be any customs fees associated with that. So smaller organizations, certainly I would encourage to partner with larger ones who kind of can provide that service.
So from my end, that's like, how do we find those organizations we can partner with? What's the...
Well, that's a great question. I mean, obviously it depends on your mission, right? Like what is your organization involved with? So if it's a public health, kind of more of a health related mission, I would seek out larger partners in that field. If it's more nutrition based or orphanages or that kind of thing, I would seek out partner organizations that are kind of generally in the same field, right?
Okay, that makes sense. Do we have other questions?
What's the best way to contact you or your organization, someone, if we have additional questions down the road?
I will share some email addresses. Email is always best. While my internet is working great today that I'm talking from you, I am in Haiti and sometimes there's some reliability issues. So email really works great for us. And I'll share some points of contact in our organization after this call.
Okay. Do you have a success story that you could share about how quickly people responded and got supplies to you?
Sure. Sometimes in Haiti, I'll share two success stories. One success story, sometimes we have to redefine success, is in the case of HAS, or in the case of a lot of these other organizations here on the ground, is that just being open every day and providing service. So we've been open for 65 continuous years, not an accomplishment in other places, but in Haiti, being there consistently open for that amount of time is a huge success story. I know Maison de Naissance, like they're doing things the right way, which is kind of starting from the community and building outwards. And that's kind of the blueprint for long-term success in Haiti. There's a lot of organizations that come in here and have bursts of short-term success and then burn out or don't do things. So, but secondly, is we've been able to, for example, an organization, a large international organization called World Central Kitchen that was founded by Chef Jose Andres. And their focus is on emergency food relief. And they do things the right way. I've been involved with them for a long time previous, but contacted us at HAS within 8 hours of the earthquake and said, we're deploying a massive team here because we want to get food relief in. By food relief, I mean actual feeding operations, cooking hot meals, getting it to displaced people. Within 8 hours, JetBlue had donated an A320, which is a full-size commercial aircraft got that loaded up with all their cargo. They landed Sunday night here at 11 o'clock at night. I met them at the airport. We were the consignee at that point, HAS was, so that's a way to support logistically, right? There's no way for them to get stuff into the country. And met with the Ministry of Finance people that they had deployed there at the airport at 11 at night. Within an hour, we had that stuff out of the airport onto trucks. And we've been continuing to do that. And as of today, we've served 600,000 hot meals in Kai, Jeremy, where we have kitchens set up, tiny villages in the mountains, and so forth. And every one of those meals is possible because of maybe the dry subject matter of today's call, which is logistics. Because without those supplies and those materials, nothing can really happen. So that certainly has been a success story.
There was one, I was able to listen to part of it, your Thursday presentation, and there was one story that I heard. It's kind of not related to shipping, but somebody asked you the difference between the 2010 earthquake and the this year's earthquake and the response. And I love the story that you told. If you know what I'm talking about, referring to about the air flights coming in and the Haitian run businesses and clinic that got set up at the airport. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I don't listen to myself normally. You shouldn't believe anything that I say. But yeah, no, I was referring to is, we all talk about the challenges in Haiti and they're very real. And I was coming at it more from a perspective of gratitude for the progress that has been made since 2010. There are organizations that didn't exist in 2010 that came into existence as a result of that earthquake and that are here on the ground in Haiti. So when this earthquake happened, the differences between the 2010 one and this one are great. But one of the big differences is the spread out nature of the damage here versus the concentrated damage in Port-au-Prince. But the other one is that when the Department of Defense deployed their assets 3 or 4 days in, so Chinook helicopters, Black Hawk helicopters, capabilities we don't have here in Haiti. The thing is, those aircraft have to be deployed somewhere specifically to fill a need, in this case, medical evacuations. And they don't have missions preset. Then they have to take those patients and take them somewhere. And basically what was happening is after the first couple of days, when people thought casualty numbers were going to be going down, they were actually finding hundreds and hundreds of casualties in these remote areas that surpassed any expectations. So the limited hospitals in the South were already overflowing. So those American military and Coast Guard helicopters were medevacing patients and bringing them to the Port-au-Prince airport. Well, there's nobody to receive them at the Port-au-Prince airport. So three local charitable organizations that did not exist in 2010, which is Haiti Air Ambulance and Hero Client Rescue, which are kind of into the medical part of things, just ad hoc went to the airport and started a triage. So we were literally here at HAS. I didn't think we were going to be really needed. We're far away, but we brought in vehicles and a few basic tents. And next thing I know, there's a triage set up on the grass right next to the airstrip where patients are just getting unloaded. And those two organizations were able to set up a triage, assess patients, and then match those patients with hospitals in Port-au-Prince area and get them formal admittance and so forth. So it was a real team effort where those organizations then were leading that triage, including deploying those helicopters and finding hospital beds for those patients. And ended up being over 470 critically injured patients that we triaged, HAS included, through simple plastic tents on a grass runway. But by hundreds of $1 million of U.S. military assets, dropping them, and those patients were successfully placed, and a lot of lives were saved. So that's, I think, what I was referring to.
Okay. Well, if there's no other questions, I want to thank you for joining us. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Before we break for lunch, and that'll allow you guys some time to network, we have a couple tables from our sponsors. I also was donated some dresses if anybody's organization wants to take them to Haiti. The woman is definitely willing to make more, although make sure it's a need that they have before you take them, okay? I want to do special thanks to Carly McIntosh from Pulsinelli. She does a lot to set this event up for us every year, and really appreciate it. And then want to thank Global Birthing Home Foundation for helping facilitate the financial sponsorship, so we appreciate that. And then Cheryl Dinkle helps with my graphics, and Rocky helped with the food, and Sherry and Patty were gracious enough. And I also need to add Jessica Ellsbury because she's helped with all the technical, running the Zoom and stuff. So just thank you guys for coming. And lunch is in the back. And if you have any questions, I will send out the survey. That's how you guys are going to get in the drawing. So appreciate it. Thank you.